Hey, this is Red Pill Mormon. This is just a venting video. Uh, if you're not interested in that, that's fine. But I'm just, I just want to vent. So, oh, man, I had an incident this week on my first day back. After being off for 12 days. I was very sick from June 3rd all the way to the 10th. I think it was the 10th. Um, and I didn't work. And um, I got back to work finally on the 12th, I think it was. Or maybe it was the 13th. I don't remember. Anyway, so my first load, I went out to this location and there was a bunch of trucks there. So they had me go to this other location. And I hooked up and I did everything the way I'm supposed to do it, followed the procedures, and I am a very, this is the way it has to be kind of guy. I'm very, well, let me just say, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and I'm a very intelligent person, so I'm able to not be affected by it in a very negative way. But I see everything in black and white. It's either good, good, or bad, bad. And I know that I'm like that. So I try to, like, not overreact, you know. But, um, but this incident happened. And what happened was I was pulling a tank, and these locations that I'm going to, there's like a ton of tanks all on one location because back in 2008 they started doing this directional drilling stuff. Instead of the wells going straight down, they go off into different areas and they bring it all up to one large location with a whole bunch of tanks. So I was pulling off of one, what they call a Getty box, is where I hook my hose up to, I hook my vent lines up to, I hook my grounding cables up to, and I was pulling off of it, and everything was open the way it was supposed to be. And I loaded my first compartment, so I have two compartments in my tanker. Um, and because of the weight of the oil and the gravity of the oil and the bridge laws, on this particular load, I could load 102 barrels of crude oil in the front compartment and 122 barrels of oil in the back compartment. So I'm very particular and precise about not being overweight. So I load up my first compartment and I put 102 barrels in my first compartment, and then I begin to load my second compartment, my rear compartment, which I can load 122 barrels into. So what happened was I was about 70 barrels into loading my second compartment, and I heard a loud pressure release of air. And I have these safety valves on the top of my tank so that if the pressure gets too much, so the oil's filling up the tanks and the air has to have somewhere to go. And but the pressure relief valves on the top of my tank are not what is making this noise, because I've heard that before. I know what that sounds like. And I was like, where is that coming from? So about a minute or two later, I look, and behind my truck, I see oil on the ground creeping up towards me. And it's a large spill. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So I go back and I'm thinking maybe something's wrong with my tank or something. And no, it was the Getty box that hooks up to a different set of tanks behind me. So that the Getty box that I was hooked up to, I could load off of tank 187, 186, 187, or 188. And I cannot pull any other tanks with that. But this Getty box that nobody was on, um, it's for 177, 178, and you can also load 179 and 180 off these tanks, or off this particular line. But the thing is, the vent line, um, the vent line is connected, and because of EPA, they want all of the flammable fumes to go through these vent lines, and it goes up to this thing called a burner. It's a stack that's on fire all the time, and it's got these blowers in it, and all of the tanks are hooked up to it, so that as the pressure needs to be released from the tanks or from whatever, from the loading process, it'll blow through these things and it will stay on fire, and it'll blow up in the air and whatnot. So, but they're all connected, and somebody left the vent line open on Getty box, the Getty box for 177, 178, and 179, 180. So what happened was somebody before I got to work used this trailer while I was off, and they did something called dome out. And what that is I can haul 250 barrels with this particular trailer. Now, because of weight limits, I can't actually do that unless the gravity is very high, and we don't get that kind of gravity with the oil we're hauling. So, so the back compartment, as I was filling it up, I can go up to 122, and like I said, I was about 70 barrels at that point. In order to dome that compartment out, I would have to go 18 barrels more than I'm supposed to go to do that. So the individual who, I think I know who it is, I trained this guy, and I told the company that this guy doesn't pay attention to what he's doing, and I didn't think he had any business doing this job. Like, people want to do this job for the money, but like they don't take it seriously. And this is a very serious job. Like, this is hazmat. Like, so let me just tell you how dangerous this is. If the oil goes to the stack, which is only supposed to burn fumes off, if that oil goes to the stack, it can not blow up, but it can shoot oil, flammable oil on fire into the air and cause a huge fire, potentially destroying a facility. Okay, so this is serious business, right? Now, what happened was somebody domed out the last compartment, and it flooded the vent lines, and then the oil, if it's not heated up, it actually becomes like a plug. It's like a really thick wax, and depending on how cold it is, it's ridiculous how cold it can get, and like, anyway, so what happened was somebody had domed out, which meant that they'd filled the tank up 18 barrels more than it should have been, which would have made them way overweight. So I think that they knew that they did that, and they didn't do anything to clean it out or say anything to anyone, and there was no way for me to know that this had happened. And so the temperature of the oil that I was pulling was 150 degrees. And so the fumes are very hot, and what happened was the pressure from the second tank as I was loading it up, combined with the hot fumes, it it dislodged the plug, and then all of the oil that had flooded in the vent lines from the second compartment, it shot out through my vent hose all the way through the system towards the stacker that's on fire. And luckily somebody didn't do their job, and they didn't close that vent on the other box that was behind my trailer, and the oil shot out and the air pressure shot out. And what I was hearing was, as I was hearing the air pressure release, was that air pressure and that oil shooting out of the back, like out of this vent line, and it caused a huge mess. Now, okay, at first I didn't understand what in the heck was going on. I called my safety guy. He called some people from the facility and the pumper, and they came out and they couldn't figure it out. And like, my safety guy was in the mountains, so he has bad cell phone service. He finally gets there and he says, "Oh, this is what happened." And this guy, he used to own his own trucking company. He's been in the oil field for a long time. He understands things. And he says, "This is what happened." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense with everything that happened and the noises and everything. I get it. I understand." And like, I think that at my company, I might be a little facetious for saying this, but I don't think so. He has more experience than I have, but I have more experience than I think everybody else at the company that's in the oil, including the supervisors. When I was an oil field worker back from January of 2008 to June of 2010, I was put through college courses because my job, I was chosen to be oil field emergency management for the company that I worked for, which meant I had a lot more training and actually had certificates and college courses that I went through in order to understand a whole bunch of stuff. And like, I got that experience, and then the oil field went down and everything, and like, I was able to keep my job for longer than other people, but they finally just fired me. And I called, I was like, I didn't understand why they were going to fire me. Instead of just laying me off or whatever, they're going to fire me. And so I called the company, and I was like, "Can we have some, there was a thing that they did. It was like a court type of thing where all the big wigs for the company, we're all sitting in a room, and I state my case, and I have witnesses. My witnesses were my supervisors. And they said to the council that I was the best driver that they had. In fact, when we first started the night emergency management program, there was three other guys. No, there was two other guys. I was the third guy that did the job, and they got rid of those other two guys because I was so effective at doing my job. Because I take things seriously, and I go above and beyond what they asked me to do. Back then, nobody ever talked about grounding trucks when you were loading. I actually had a thing that I would stake into the ground, with a cable that I made so that I could ground, because I understood how dangerous it is for static electricity and the pump making static electricity. Nobody else did that. I did that. And I take my job very seriously. And like I said, because of my borderline personality disorder, I see everything in black and white. It's either good or it's bad. And that comes from severe abuse and neglect that I had when I was a kid. Growing up my dad was a drug addict early on in my life, and then there was just a whole bunch of abuse and neglect that I went through as a kid. And my brain and the neurons in the pathways in my brain, they wired different. So it's not something that I can change about myself. But because of my intelligence, like my wife says that she thinks because of my intelligence I'm not as bad as a lot of borderline personality people are. So anyway, oh man, but I get paranoid. I have been fired even before like God revealed to me who I am and all of that stuff. Like I would get fired for no reason. And people would hate me for no reason, and I learned to just keep to myself and try, and that's one of the reasons why I was so happy about being the night emergency management, because I was out there by myself and nobody could get to me to hurt me. Even though people at the company hated me for no reason. Like I had this one lady, she just hated my guts. She'd never met me before. The first day I ever talked to her, she was just a bitch to me. And she was the supervisor over the shop at Glen Bench down in South O'Ray, between south of Vernoland and Roosevelt. But I've had things like that like my whole life. When I was in kindergarten, my teacher, well, I don't want to get into the details, but like it wasn't good. And to the point where my mom pulled me out of school after 3 months because of this abusive teacher in Bountiful, Utah. I think it was Bountiful, maybe it was Centerville, but it was, and I actually went to kindergarten twice. Um, Not completely. I mean, 3 months, I think, and then my mom pulled me out of school because of the crap that was going on. And oh, and the other thing too, the reason why I say I'm intelligent, it's not because I'm trying to be all prideful or anything. When I was 14 years old, I was placed in evaluation because of the things that I had been through at Primary Children's Hospital psychiatric ward, third floor, West Wing. And I was in there for a while, and I loved it there. I wanted to stay there because crap that was happening at home. But my I when I was or when I went to become a missionary at the MTC because of my mental health past, they were able to get the records from Primary Children's Hospital, and I was able to see the the evaluation, and they basically said that everything that I was dealing with was situational, but I was diagnosed with a couple of different things: severe depression, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and borderline personality disorder. And one of my tests I got to see was an IQ evaluation, and my IQ when I was 14 years old was 147. So if you don't know what that means, you're considered a genius if your IQ is 150 or above. So I'm an intelligent individual according to the tests at the psychiatric ward that I was in as a kid. Anyway, so the reason I'm wanting to vent right now is because I try to do everything I can do to do the best, to be the best at what I do. I take everything extremely seriously. There is a way, and my wife and kids like to tease me about how I am, this is the way. Like, Dad has a way of doing things. And the reason I have a way of doing things is because I've learned through trial and error which ways are best. And I think about things. I think about everything all the time. I can't shut my mind off. I think about everything all the time. And um, anyway, so this thing happened, and I've had since God revealed to me what my mission is, and becoming public with my ministry and my witness, I have basically become I'm more, how do you say, I'm vulnerable, very vulnerable, and when people find out where I work about my ministry, I lose my job. I get harassed because of my beliefs, my beliefs and my religious opinions, and then I lose my job. I have lost jobs, and they'll harass me and harass me. In my last job, they found out about my ministry, and then they found out about my radio show, and they found out about my claims, and then they harassed me and harassed me and harassed me until I quit, even though I never had been written up or had any problems. But this kind of thing happens frequently, and it makes me so angry because there's nothing I can do about it. In fact, one of the reasons why I call myself Red Pill Mormon is because I don't want my name getting out there, even though it's already out there, and there's nothing I can do about it. So people will find out about the problem, about my witness. Now, this kid that I trained, that I told my boss and the safety guy didn't think that he was, like I'd be explaining stuff to him, showing him how to do things, and he would just wander off. And like I was just like, my opinion of the kid is that he doesn't pay attention. Um, he wants to make the big money, but he doesn't take the job seriously. And like I said, this is you have to take this job seriously. I haul very flammable stuff. There's condensate. There's the high flammable crude oil, like this hazmat, and like the paths that we go over is very dangerous. I wouldn't put a rookie on this road that I go over, especially in the wintertime, but any time at all. But anyway, when I was training him, he was telling me about some strange spiritual experiences that he had. And I did not bring any of this stuff up. He just wanted to tell me because he's sitting in the passenger seat. Like, he couldn't drive because he didn't have his hazmat. And so I was driving, and I was just basically, I told the safety guy, look, I don't trust other people to drive. I trust me to drive. I have over 3 million miles, 28 years of experience. I will drive. Like, you're not having me train him to train him how to drive. If he doesn't know how to drive, he has no business being at this job. But I'll train him how to do the job as far as like gauging and buying and doing the centrifuge tests and all of the stuff that we do. I'll train him how to do it. But so anyways, he's sitting over there in the passenger seat and he's telling me all these things. And to be helpful, because I'm a damned idiot, I started talking about some of my experiences. And I didn't get into it all, but I got into enough to where if he wants to, he can hurt me. Now, I don't know if he told anybody about what I told him, but they haven't had me train anybody since this kid. And I don't know why. And um, I've never been written up in my company. I've never uh, had any tickets. I've never been placed out of service. And I live my life as though I am being watched 24/7. Like I'm driving down the road right now. Um, I will use my turn signal even though there's nobody else around me. That's the kind of person I am. There is a right way to do things, and there is a lazy way or a wrong way to do things, and I'm going to try to do things the right way. And that's how I am. And I act, and the safety guy, they'll sit somewhere where I don't pay attention to the fact that they're there, and I like I don't even know that they're there, and they watch me and they see me doing everything the way it's supposed to be done, you know? So they know that I'm that kind of individual where I will do what I am supposed to do. And I actually had one of the other guys, he's like, why do you do everything like you're being watched? I said, what do you mean? He said, you do all of the stuff that they say to do. Like, you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to do all of that. Like, why don't you just relax? And I'm like, because that's the way I am. I do what I'm asked to do. I do it by the book, and I go above and beyond, you know, to be safe. It's how I am. But so this thing happened, and like I reported it right away. I videotaped it. I did everything that I knew to do, and then the pumper was like, "Oh, this is your fault. You domed over." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And this guy, he's got less experience than me, and the safety guy, he's got less experience than both of us, you know. But he's got this job because I guess he applied for it and they hired him, whatever. But he didn't understand what happened. And before I understood, he's all, well, um, I said, where would that air pressure come from? I was trying to figure it out. Where's the air pressure? Like, I heard that air pressure and then I saw the oil. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And he couldn't even figure it out. But the other guy, the safety guy who I um, work with, he knew exactly what happened. So anyway, so I'm trying to clean up this big old mess, and then the safety guy finally gets there, and he says, "Oh, don't worry about this. I'm having a crew come to clean this up later." And so I was like, "Okay, well, I'll just go." And the next morning, after I do my loads, I go to sleep. Or no, I'm about ready to go to sleep, and I see in the group text, who made this mess? Oh, it's some driver, some nobody driver that got to the situation. And there was a guy that had got there before that, and he already called the supervisor and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And they said, "Well, yeah, this happened last night. Don't worry about it. We're gonna have a cleanup crew." But this other guy makes this big damn deal out of it because, I guess important people have to make sure that people get in trouble for whatever it is that they don't even understand what the hell's going on. So anyway, hold on here. So one of the main supervisors, he gets in the group chat and he's like, "You guys are doing a really awesome job, and we're trying to investigate what happened. We don't have any conclusions about what happened, and blah blah blah." And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? The other guy, the one with the experience, not the truck driver that they hired to come out here and be a supervisor, even though he doesn't have any oil field experience. They didn't listen to that guy. about what happened and why things happened the way they happened, and they're all like, "Oh, we don't know what happened, and we're trying to investigate it still." And I'm thinking, you guys already know what happened because Josh told you what happened, and it makes logical sense. And this is what happened: somebody domed out, they didn't clean it out. It cooled, the oil in the vent lines cooled down and plugged up, and when I was loading, the pressure from the second compartment, which is plugged up, combined with the hot vapors that come out through the vent lines, it pushed that out and it blew out. And because somebody left a vent open on that other box, it blew out the where it did, which was good because if it blew out through the fire stack, it would have caused us, like, it would have been bad, right? So like somebody didn't do their job and closing the vent line, but it's kind of good that they didn't, because there could have been like like big explosions, big fireballs, big problems. Anyway, so another thing happened this week. The truck had to get fixed, and um, and there was safety meetings at the beginning of the week. So like I didn't get out. Um, hold on here. I didn't get out of the yard until way late, way later than I'm supposed to. And I'm driving these night shifts now, and I didn't want to be driving as late as I'm driving now, but they asked me, and they're like, "Oh, we really need you to do this," and I was like, "Fine." So anyway, so I got out of the yard pretty late, and I've been pretty late all week, and then this week, today, and then there was the delays and everything with all the stuff that happened, and I ended up having to sleep in the truck um, at the unload facility because I couldn't get further than that, because 14 hours comes up and then you're just done. You just where you're at, and that's the way it is. So anyway, this whole week's been late, and I'm supposed to get 8 loads in 4 days. And tonight I was supposed to get 2 loads, but I only got dispatched for 1. And it's 2 in the morning, and like I'm going to spend time doing some stuff in the truck that I haven't been able to do because my co-driver's, he's always like right there, like trying to push me out of the truck, so I'm not able to clean it up the way I like to clean it up, even though I'm not going to be in it. I just think it's common courtesy to like clean it up so that my co-driver doesn't have to deal with the mess. And like there's dirt and stuff, and like I have oil filled boots that I don't wear in the truck. I have driving shoes that I wear so I don't get things messy. But like I haven't been able to clean this truck up in a few weeks because my co-driver works during the day, and then I am supposed to work at night, and it kind of conflicts with his schedule because he wants to start as early as he can, like 4 in the morning. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be done till like 7 or 8 in the morning because I'm doing what they're asking me to do. And it's so irritating because like before I was able to get all this stuff cleaned up before he even came out. But today I could have gotten 2 loads, but I was only dispatched for 1, which means I only got 7 loads this week. Now I could have gotten 8. I had the time to do it, but they didn't give me the time. And I didn't realize that until I finished doing all the paperwork and I got loaded, and I was starting to head over to, leave the site in Uinta Basin and get over to Castle Country near Price, Utah, where the unload facility is. And for the last couple of hours, I'm like, why didn't they give me a load? Am I in trouble? Because I'm paranoid because of all the crap that's happened to me. Before 2013, which is when I found out who I am, and that's when I started my ministry, but then more so since I started my ministry. That the people, they give me a hard time, and like I don't even, I hate doing this. I don't want to do this ministry, and I wish that I could wipe everything clean so that nobody knew who I was and just go on about my business and not be a prophet and not have any of these spiritual experiences that I have had, because I've received death threats. I have people telling me that I'm crazy, that I'm nuts, whatever, all the time, and it's stupid. I'm so sick and tired of it. And like people, they say, "Oh, some people, oh, we really like what you have to say," but like nobody does anything about it. And I'm just getting to the point, and I want to like own my own truck so that I have some kind of security against just being fired for what the hell ever reason that they want to give. And they can't fire me for religious reasons because that's discrimination, but they will do things to make it so that I will quit. They will harass me in a way that I will like quit on my own. And I'm making really good money at this job, and like, you know what? I'm tired. Like when I was a kid, they would be like, 40 hours is a full-time work week, 9 to 5. It's never been that way for me. 70 hours has been the way it's been as a truck driver. That's just the way it is. You work 70 hours because that's what the government tells you can work. And they're, this truck, $200,000 truck, $300,000 trailer, so $500,000. The owner of the company wants to get as much work done out of the drivers as possible, so they will run us to death, and that's just the way it's been. As a truck driver, that's the way it is. But I'm just tired, and I'm tired physically, but I'm tired mentally, and I am paranoid because I've had so much crap happen in my life where I feel like I need to like wear a body cam. Like I feel like I need to have a dash cam to always be able to prove my innocence. But even when I can prove my innocence, they still blame me for stuff. Like this thing that happened, it was a big mess. I did everything that I was supposed to do. I didn't skimp out and do things like lazily, whatever. I did what I was supposed to do, and this shit still happens to me. And so I'm paranoid. And like the other day in the safety meeting, they said, well, the company that we work for, because the oil contract and whatever, or this whole company that I work for is leased to that company. And there's like 7 or 8 other companies that work for this oil field company as well. They said if we terminate you for any safety reasons, that you will be banned from working for any of these other companies. So I won't be able to be an oil field driver. And I've been hauling coal for the last 6-7 years. And they're going to stop using coal in the power plants because it's going to natural gas. Like, what am I going to do? And I feel like I'm going to get to the point where I will not have any way to support my family. That I'm going to be blackballed, and this kind of crap is just going to keep on happening. And sometimes I feel like I'm on the very verge of just breaking down. And I feel that way a lot right now. And it partly comes because of all the crap that I've had to deal with my whole life. My whole life. And now that God revealed to me why the things happen to me, the spiritual experiences and all the other stuff, it's like the devil's doubled down on trying to destroy me. And I have nobody to support me. And if I lose another job because of this religious bigotry, or this ridiculous, like they're going to blame me for this oil spill that I did not cause, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just beyond fed up with all the crap that's happened and everything else. So I'm venting and I'm sad. I feel like I want to cry, but I don't know what to do to fix it. And like, it makes me angry because like God doesn't protect me. I mean, he does in a way, but like the devil can just destroy a person's life like Job, righteous, doing all the things that he's supposed to do, and the devil can just come in and destroy, and God's all like, okay, it's okay. And they say, well, the devil never supports his whatever, but like God doesn't either. And as much as I know about God and how much he loves us, it just boggles my mind. Why don't you protect your righteous servants? And in the last days, like it talks about all this crap that's going to happen to the righteous, that they will be persecuted and killed. Why don't you protect your people? I don't understand it. Anyway, I got to get going because I got to get fuel and then I got to start cleaning out this truck. So anyway, it's just my venting, my insane rambling because apparently I'm a nut job. Even though I do everything like, I don't even know. I guess I'm just gonna end the rant. Hope everybody's having a good day. I don't even know what to say anymore.